Hey everyone, today we are going to learn to multiply decimals. So here's the good news. We're going to first multiply without any decimals at all, just like we normally multiply numbers. So I've got my first number here. It's 9 times 0.4. I'm going to ignore the decimal altogether. I'm going to ignore any lead zeros, and I'm just going to make this problem 9 times 4. Well, that's just one of our basic facts, right? We know that 9 times 4 is 36. Okay, so that's the easy part. Once that's done, I'm going to go back to my problem and I'm going to count how many numbers all together are behind the decimal point. So in this problem, I only have one number behind a decimal point. That's where I'm going to put the decimal point in our answer. Since there's one number behind the decimal point in all the problem, I'm going to put one number behind the decimal point in the answer. So this answer is 3 6/10. All right, so let's look at our next number then. We've got 0 6/10 times 0 4/10. We're going to multiply this just like it was regular numbers without the decimal points. We're going to leave off any lead zeros. So we're going to turn this problem into 6 times 4. Again, another basic fact, which is 24. Then we're going to go back. We're not done yet. We're going to go back and look at our problem and count all the numbers that are behind a decimal point. So we've got one number here and a second number here. Two numbers behind the decimal point. So we're going to start from the right and we're going to put 1, 2 numbers behind the decimal point in our answer. So this would become 24 hundredths. And we can put that lead 0 in the front if we want to, 0 and 24 hundredths. I would accept either answer as correct. Okay, now the problems are going to get just a little more complicated. Again, we're going to multiply just as if these were whole numbers. So I'm going to ignore that first 0 and make this 12. I'm going to ignore that 0 in front of the 6/10 and make this 6. And maybe you already know 12 times 6. That could be one of your basic facts, but if you don't, here's a reminder about how to multiply. So what we do is we put the number on the top that has the most digits. So since 12 has 2 digits and 6 only has 1 digit, we're going to put the 12 on the top. Then we're going to multiply the ones place first. So 6 times 2 is 12. We only put down the ones place and we carry the tens place, carry that digit. And then we're going to multiply 6 times 1, which is 6, plus 1, which is 7. So our answer is 72. And then we're going to go back and count how many numbers are behind the decimal point in our problem. So here you see 1, 2, 3, a total of 3. So we're going to start on the right and move 1, 2, but we don't have a third space. Well, that's okay. We're going to move another space. Let me actually draw them in. And our decimal point is going to go right here, so we need to add in a 0 here. So our answer for 12 hundredths times 6/10 is 72 thousandths. All righty. Let's look at our next problem here. We're just going to treat this like 304, and since that has 3 digits, we'll put it on top. Sorry about that bell. You can see I'm working here at school. And then we're going to multiply by 16 on the bottom. All right. So and some of you have learned a different way to do multiplication. If you like that matrix way, that's fine. It'll still work here. But I know the more traditional way. I'm old, so I use the old-fashioned way. So 6 times 4 is 24. I put down my 4 and I carry my 2. 6 times 0 is 0, and then 0 plus 2 is 2. So I put down my 2, and there's nothing to carry. Then 6 times 3 is 18. Now I've got 2 digits, so I put a placeholder here because really I'm not multiplying by 1, I'm multiplying by 10 here. So in order to accommodate that, I put a placeholder here. And now I just take my 1 and multiply it by each of the digits up here. So 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 0 is 0. We already took care of this plus 2. That doesn't go with this multiplication. And then 1 times 3 is 3. Now we add the columns. This is just like adding 1,824 and 3,040. So 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 plus 4 is 6. 8 plus 0 is 8, and 1 plus 3 is 4. Now comes the magic. We go back and we count 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal point. So we start here and count 1, 2, 3 spaces in. And so our answer is 4 and 864 thousandths. Okay, I'm going to skip over E because it's a lot like D. All right, similar problem here, but I'm going to go on to F here. So I'm going to take, and you can do the same, you can skip E. So I'm going to take this first number, because it's longer, it's got more digits, and just make this like 9,071. And then I'm going to multiply that by 333. And at this point, we're like, oh my goodness, couldn't we just use a calculator? But we can't. We've got to actually crunch these out. All right, so 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 7 is 21. So I put down my 1 and carry my 2. 3 times 0 is 0, plus this 2. We'll cross that out so I don't reuse it, is 2 here. And then 3 times 9 is 27. Okay. So then I am moving over to this 3, which is more like 30, so we put a 0 here. Now the good news is we're just going to repeat these numbers, but I'll crunch it out for you. So 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 7 is 21, so I put down my 1, carry my 2 again. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. And then 3 times 9 is 27. And we're going to do all that again, except this time, because we're moving over a space, we are going to add 2 zeros because this is multiplying by 300, not by 30 or 3, all right? So 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 7 is 21, so I put down my 1, carry my 2 again. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2, 3 times 9 is 27. All right, now it's really important that I kept those columns nicely lined up there. You can draw lines if you like to keep those nicely lined up. So now I'm going to add. So 3 plus 0 plus 0, that's 3. 1 plus 3, that's 4. 2, 3, and 3 is 6. 7 and 2 is 9, and 1 more is 10, so I put a 0 down here and carry 1. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and the one I carried, 12. Carry my 1, 2, and 7 and 2 is 9, plus 1 more is 10. Put my 0 down, carry my 1, and finally 2 plus 1 is 3. Whew, that was a lot of work. All right, so now, how many numbers behind the decimal point in the problem? No numbers behind the decimal point here, so we don't have to count any of those. But we've got 2 numbers behind the decimal point here. So our answer gets, our decimal gets moved in 2 places from the right, and that's where it goes. So our answer is 30,206 and 43 hundredths. So that's a lot of money. If we think money, I'd like to have that. All right, guys, go ahead and do the rounding review. If you need help on that, make sure you see me on that. And once you've got your notes done, come and show them to me. Okay, nice job, guys.